Welcome to week 3 of the WUSHKA Getting Started series. Today is all about engagement. We'll be talking about giving your students some ownership over their reading and getting them excited to open their books. Now, when the students sign in, you can see that they are met with a personalised student page. And this entire student dashboard is a really great way to keep the students involved in their reading progress. The students can actually record their favourite books. This is a great way for them to celebrate books which they've really enjoyed or books which meant something to them. If we scroll down, so this line graph is going to be showing them exactly how many books they've been reading each day. And if they click more, they can actually see some details. When did they read it? How long did they read it for? Where did they read it? If they move over to the column graph, this is going to be giving them some insight into their consistency when it comes to reading. How much have they been reading each week? Over the side, the students have some nice visuals on the types of books that they're reading. Now, down the bottom, you'll see that the students have some insight into their comprehension. This is interesting because otherwise this is really difficult for students to gauge. So they can actually track their results in those comprehension quizzes that they're doing at the end of the books. Now they can take it a step further by clicking See All Quiz Results. And one of the most powerful tools on this little chart here is this one, time spent reading. This is a great way for them to really reflect on how that impacts their comprehension. By giving the students this information, it's going to cause them to make those connections themselves. And the next time they open up a book, hopefully they'll start to have that awareness of how long should I approximately be reading this book for in order to actually gain that real deep understanding. If they hit the plus button, every single book in that level is going to open up to them. And if they hit the bookmark button, that's when these books are going to get added to the favourites section on their main page. If the students scroll up, they actually have a filter button that they can use to narrow down the books based on their favourite themes. If we click into one of the books, the students are going to get a really nice little recommendation of other books which they might enjoy based on this particular selection. Up the top here, you can see that they have a suggestion of a task that they might like to do once they've finished reading the book. Last but not least, we'll jump over into the favourites section, and here you can see that this is where the students manage those books that they've bookmarked. So they can just hit remove if they'd like to take any of their books off. As I said before, maybe your students would like to change their favourite books depending on time or depending on a unit of work. And what they can do is also even track which bookmarks have they made most recently and which bookmarks are old. So as a teacher, I really would encourage you to sign into your student accounts just to get an idea of the capabilities that they have in here, which can really help them to get more involved in their reading. Now, from the teacher dashboard, we still can facilitate more engagement and motivation for our students. Particularly, we want to make sure that we're opening up books for our students which they're actually interested in. Now, a good way to break down the books into ones which your students are going to enjoy is by using the filter button. So here, you can narrow down the books by theme if you want to. You can also filter the books by fiction or non-fiction. You can look for particular text types. And one of the teacher favourites, you can also actually break them down by particular comprehension strategies that they focus on. Now, a good way to really target engagement for individual pupils is to use the reading groups feature. So what you'll see here is I have actually created a reading group specifically for Roger Ramjet alone. Now, when I'm assigning books to that group, I've been able to be really specific about the books that I'm allocating to this group because he's the only pupil who's going to see them. For example, I know that he needs a lot of practice on phase 3 of decodables. I know he doesn't like fiction books, so I've gone ahead and found some of these really nice science decodable books and I've put them in his group specifically. Well, that's all for this week. I hope that you learned some tips and tricks on keeping your students motivated with their reading. Keep an eye out for episode 4 coming soon, where we'll be talking about data and statistics to track your students' reading progress.